After a month in my hometown of Santa Cruz, we sailed 22 nautical miles across the Monterey Bay to its namesake city. The bay is home to one of the largest marine sanctuaries, providing a habitat for 36 species of marine mammals, 94 species of seabirds, at least 525 species of fish, 4 species of turtles, and more than 450 species of marine algae. So it's safe to say if you're spending any time on the Monterey Bay, you are bound to see some marine life. After a long day of mostly motoring, we arrived at the anchorage just before sundown. The area east of Wharf 2 and the moorings is an open anchorage with excellent holding ground. Boats cannot be anchored here for more than 30 days in any 6-month period, but we wouldn't recommend sticking around here longer anyways. This anchorage is not well protected from any northern wind, chop, or swell, including the prevailing northwesterlies. This spot is like any other roadstead anchorage and should not be taken as shelter in any foul weather. Although this spot is notoriously rolly, we had no issues, and our flop stopper took a great deal of motion out of the ocean.
So we're just getting out of the Monterey Anchorage, and all the anchorages really is just a little tiny nook of this little corner of Monterey Bay. It's very fair weather only. We were here in really good conditions, and we still rolled a decent amount last night. So since we're part of the Fresno Yacht Club, we have reciprocals to the Monterey Bay Yacht Club, so we are gonna see what that's like. It's just gonna make getting to the aquarium, which is what we're gonna do today, just a little easier, not having to deal with the dinghy. I don't think there's any public dock for a dinghy, so we'd have to figure all that out. So anyways, just getting the boat to the dock not only is gonna give us a better night's sleep tonight, but also make our land activities a little easier. And the Monterey Harbor is really pretty. Like, it's, you can see all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. There's tons of sea life everywhere. So,
including seals, which are very, very loud.
In the little, what's it called? So
otters?
Otters.
You get to see otters. What do we think of that entrance?
It's a narrow little entrance. Oh my god, I'm glad there's no swell.
And we thought Emeryville was tight.
Yes.
Once checked into the yacht club, we walked along the coastal trail to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. The Monterey Bay Aquarium is one of the most attended aquariums in the United States, attracting 2 million visitors annually. The aquarium is home to 600 marine species, with a regional focus on the marine habitats of the Monterey Bay.
The aquarium was first to exhibit a living kelp forest when they opened their doors in 1984, and since then it's become a favorite attraction.
In addition to their eye-catching sea life displays, the aquarium's biologists have contributed heavily to the marine biology field, having pioneered the animal husbandry of jellyfish and being the first to successfully care for and display a great white shark. For a little while anyways. It ended up eating all of the other fish once it was an adult. Filtered water from the Monterey Bay supplies the aquarium with a 2.3 million US gallons of water for their exhibits, pumping 2,000 gallons of water per minute to the kelp forest exhibit, and then into the pipes to the other exhibits. Nearly 1 billion gallons of seawater annually flows from the bay through the aquarium and back into the ocean. A favorite exhibit between Chris and I was the jellyfish exhibit, where we once again got close and personal with the Pacific nettles that we had a run-in with coming down the coast. One of the aquarium representatives shared that someone is tasked with untangling their tentacles every morning, a fact that we have not been able to forget. The organization's research and conservation efforts also focuses on sea otters, various birds, and tunas. Seafood Watch, a sustainable seafood advisory list that was published by the aquarium beginning in 1999, has influenced the discussion surrounding sustainable seafood, which is completely admirable, but a bit ironic since the aquarium is built on the old Hovden sardine cannery. The Hovden Cannery, now aquarium, was located at the north end of Cannery Row. The street name, formerly a nickname for Ocean View Avenue, became official in January of 1958 to honor John Steinbeck and his novel Cannery Row. In the novel's opening sentence, Steinbeck described the street as a poem, a stink, a grating noise, a quality of light, a tone, a habit, a nostalgia, and a dream. The 1950s marked the beginning of Cannery Row's fishing empire, when the Chinese fishing families immigrated to Point Olones, now referred to as China Point. There, Cannery Row's fishing industry flourished. The last cannery closed in 1973 after the collapse of the fishing industry in the Monterey Bay that began in the mid-1950s, a direct result from a combination of factors, including unfavorable ocean conditions, overfishing, and competition from other species. In his investigation of where the sardines had gone, marine biologist Ed Ricketts finally concluded they're in the cans. Today, Cannery Row is a popular tourist attraction with many restaurants and hotels, several of which are located inside former cannery buildings.
It was a beautiful, warm day in Monterey, and although we appreciated every exhibit the aquarium had to offer, we desperately wanted to be outdoors, so we made our final rounds and departed to begin our quest for the best clam chowder. And what better place to find a bowl than the wharf?
The Monterey Wharf is an old fishing pier located in front of the historic Customs House, where the United States flag was first raised in 1846 after the Mexican-American War. Originally built for passenger and freight ships, the wharf turned into a commercial fishing pier by the 1900s. Shortly after World War II, the overfished sardines in the area began to disappear and the fishing industry collapsed. In 1956, the city converted the pier into a shopping and entertainment area. Today you'll find a number of eateries and shops to enjoy with stellar views of the bay. When we were walking back from the aquarium, our friend Kevin texted us to let us know that there is a dead whale right outside the harbor entrance. So we're gonna go check that out. Apparently there are some shark bites out of it, so we're gonna go investigate and see what we can see. Fin whale is the second largest whale species on Earth after the blue whale. It is found throughout the world's oceans, but considering they are deep water mammals, a near coastal spotting is considered rare. Although they are the fastest of all the great whales, capable of swimming up to 23 miles per hour, they couldn't outrun commercial whalers when the industry modernized with steam-powered ships and explosive harpoons, killing a number during the mid-1900s. They are still an endangered species in the northern hemisphere, so seeing one, even after its expiration, was fascinating. Right, that is a very dead whale. There's some chunks missing out of it, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some white sharks.
We sat by the whale, patiently waiting to see if any white sharks would come by for a taste. But unfortunately, the Coast Guard arrived before the apex predators, and we decided to bugger off and let the coasties do their thing.
Monterey is a pedestrian-friendly city with their waterfront coastal recreation trail that stretches 18 miles from Castroville in the north to Pacific Grove in the south. This popular paved path hugs the coast, following the same route as the old Southern Pacific Railway. The rec trail is a great way for people to reach the Monterey Bay Aquarium, the American Tin Can Shopping and Outlet Mall, Fisherman's Wharf, and much more. When we woke up to a beautiful blue sky and clear schedule, we took to the trail and made our way to Lover's Point. We are at Lover's Point right now. Nice, nice little bike ride over here. There's a beautiful bike path in Monterey, which is
goes around
really
pretty
nice.
much the whole city.
Yeah, so lots to see, lots to do. We're gonna check out some tide pools, hopefully get the GoPro wet and see what lives inside of the tide pools. So
here.
Since the late 1800s, the beach at Lovers Point in Pacific Grove has become a popular spot for boating and swimming, and over recent decades, surfers have joined the mix. Lovers Point Park has above all else become Pacific Grove's best-loved spot for picnics, plein air painting, and scenic photography. Because of its unique east-facing location, it is also one of the only spots on the West Coast where you can watch the sunrise over the water. Although I could watch the ebb and flow of water through the tide pools for hours, we had plans with our friend Kevin, so hopped back on our bikes and made our way back to the harbor, with a quick stop along the way.
So I went to the Monterey Chandlery over here at the boatyard, and they had like 4 blocks, and one of them was exactly what we needed. So this is our old main sheet block. You can see that the little rollers are breaking apart, and all the rest of the ones on here are ready to go too. So anyways, we got a new one. Definitely would be nice to have that for our main while we go down the coast.
My name is Kevin Wasbauer, and I am the founder and owner of Shearwater Sailing in Monterey, California. We are on a FAR 53 that was built in New Zealand called Atalanta. This boat was built in 1989 and it was built to be a high latitude voyaging yacht and wound up on the West Coast about 20 years ago. And I bought the boat 2 years ago with the intention of starting a sailing charter business doing both local and offshore sailing charter. COVID happened and I was staring down the barrel at 50 and thinking like, okay, I can reinvent myself a couple more times, and what should I do? What do I really love doing? And it was obvious to me. I just love to be out on the water and be out sailing and teaching people and having a great time. The hard part was just finding a boat. Boats like this are not too common on the West Coast, and it just so happened that this boat sort of found me. It was really fortuitous, so I felt really lucky to find it, and yeah, bought the boat and spent a year refitting the boat, and it was ready to be pressed into service. As you can hear, we're in Monterey, and we have a lot of California sea lions on the jetty right next to us. I do a lot of trips out on the bay for 2 hours or a half day, taking people, sometimes people who are complete novices, out sailing, and we have a great time and get to see the Monterey area from the water, which is always special for folks that haven't done that before. I also mix that up with some offshore charters, some coastal trips, done some trips to San Francisco and down to Santa Barbara from here. We have larger trips planned in the future. Eventually, I'm hoping next year to be able to do a trip down to Mexico and eventually to do a passage over to Hawaii. Monterey Bay is a really interesting place to sail. It is an open roadstead, so we get a lot of the big Pacific swell in here like you would not get normally in San Francisco Bay. But we also have a lot of really beautiful sailing days here, a lot of sunny days, and there's a lot of wildlife on the bay. Just about every trip we take, we see whales out there and dolphins, and there's a place in the middle of Monterey Bay that's super deep. It's about 10,000 feet deep, and when you go over that, you see all kinds of pelagic species and wildlife that you normally wouldn't see that close to shore. So it's a really unique place to sail. Kelp forests are really attractive for divers, so a lot of people come here to dive. But yeah, it's just a beautiful kind of natural amphitheater, and it's a gorgeous place to sail. If you're interested in learning about the offerings that we have, you can check us out at shearwatersailing.net. Also on Instagram. Feel free to give us a follow, and look forward to meeting everybody out there in the future.
Our time in Monterey was short and sweet, but it was time to keep moving south. It's hard to believe that a day that started off so sweet with a paddle around the harbor turned into one of the worst days aboard that we've ever had. Our departure from Monterey started out like any other. Untie from the dock, then head out to sea. But that is when things went horribly wrong.
Yeah, a really bad thing that just happened. Our engine just ran away. I got to it before it fucking blew up.
Chris called his brother to weigh in on our next moves, then got to work while I kept us on course. After some troubleshooting and band-aid repairs, Chris got the engine running well enough to get us into the anchorage at our next port, where we could really rip into the project. You want to talk about what happened?
I don't know what to say.
Luckily, we had more than enough wind to get us exactly where we needed to go, as well as a few angry whales along the way. Would this end our cruising season before it even began? Stick around and find out, because all of the details are next on Sailing Avocet.